Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Sam. Welcome to a special edition of Unfiltered, our show that looks at the intersection of marketing and culture. Who's this guy? This guy is Drew. We're doing something special today because I am out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Twin Cities. And we're doing a special series. We're launching a special series. It's not like a continuous series, but it's something that we'll do every once in a while called The Professionals. Because Drew
It's so serious.
is a professional.
So serious.
Drew, say hey.
Hi, how's it going? I'm Drew.
Good, Drew, tell us what you do.
I work at an agency here in Minneapolis called The Socialites. We're an all social media agency, so instead of, doing a little of this and a little of that, web, PR, everything, we just solely focus on social media. Our big thing is helping our clients get better at social media, extending their capabilities, training them in, but also just running their social media for them, whether that's creating content, monitoring, analytics, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty fun.
Awesome. Social media is still relatively new and relatively unknown to people.
Yep.
Like, how would you explain your job to your grandmother?
Yeah, well, my grandmother kind of doesn't know what I do, but
No, mine doesn't either.
yeah, I think social media intimidates a lot of people because they think, what's Snapchat? What are all these weird apps and things and hashtags? But really what it is at the end of the day is telling stories in a connected sort of way, getting people who believe in what you're doing all together in one spot. Again, telling stories about that, talking about ways that can add value to their everyday life, and selling your products or raising money or bringing in volunteers depending on what your organization does. So for my grandma, what would I say? I would say, Grandma, we work with people, Grandma, we work with people online who care about a brand. Maybe they are actively talking about how they like our product, and we're talking back to them. We're listening to them well, responding to them, helping them if they have questions, and then furthering their love for the brand or for the organization.
Awesome. What was the last movie you saw in the movie theater?
Last movie I saw in the movie theater. I'm mostly like a Netflix type of guy.
What are you watching on Netflix?
I just watched the Love and Mercy. It was the biography of Brian Wilson. That was done by Bill Pollard.
I don't.
Pollad, sorry.
You're speaking gibberish.
So Brian Wilson, lead singer of Beach Boys, right?
Who?
Beach
No, I'm with you. I know who the Beach Boys are.
So it was a movie done with Paul Dano and John Cusack playing Brian Wilson at different ages and writing pet sounds and all this. It had tons of their music in it. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah?
It was good.
You recommend it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Swipe up, swipe down.
Swipe up on this one for sure.
Swiping up on Love and Mercy.
Yeah, it's online, so it's good.
Let's say you could have a time travel machine, not a TARDIS, Carrie, but a Back to the Future car, DeLorean.
Obviously, in style.
Yes. You could go back 1 year, let's just say 1 year.
1 year.
From today, but you have the knowledge that you have today. Like, what's something that you would do differently? What's something that you wish you would have jumped on or what would you do a year ago if you had the knowledge that you have today?
Yeah, I was kind of at a very different place in a lot of ways in life. A year ago, I was working for a nonprofit doing social media and really trying to, again, drive their story and get volunteers. I think I was really slow to Snapchat and embracing that even personally and kind of thinking just another thing, but really the attention on that. I wish I would have started to figure that out a little sooner. I think being bold with working with influencers is something that is still really important in social. Developing those relationships and understanding who are the people we want to talk to who have an audience similar to ours, and really investing as much time as you can to get to know them and maybe create content together. And for anybody, I think I've always been curious, but more curiosity, more learning, more reading, and figuring out stuff. I've been really enjoying that in the last few months of just digging in and not being afraid of all this new stuff.
And there's crazy construction going on around here, so sorry for the banging and whatnot.
It's a construction zone around here.
We're gonna push through it. Who are you reading? Who are you listening to that's leading the marketing space?
Yeah, I still am a huge fan of Seth Godin, reading his stuff. I'm a huge Gary Vaynerchuk guy. I think he puts out really good stuff on YouTube based on like actually having done it. That's what I always look for, is people who are clearly doing it, driving business results, and not just having opinions, because there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah.
I try to read like things that aren't necessarily marketing, but they're more about like psychology and moving people and why people care about things, and even just interesting people who do storytelling. One guy that I like a lot is Dave Trott.
Okay.
He's like an old school like advertising guy from the UK, and writes really, really interesting stories on his blog. They're all like one line, and he just pulls you in and gets to a very simple, like profound conclusion or statement at the end, and it's like, okay.
Huh.
It kind of makes you think differently.
I have never heard of him.
Dave Trott. Predatory Marketing is in his book. Shoot. Yeah, if that's wrong. It's on this shelf back here.
Back over
I'm not
here?
good at pointing, but yeah.
Oh, that book right there.
Yeah, that
is.
yeah.
Okay, a few more questions. Like, what has been your biggest success? Like, the one thing that you are super, super proud of that you've done in your career?
Yeah, I anytime that like I can do something that kind of like upsets the cart a little bit.
Okay.
I like that,
Okay.
that kind of attention. You know, whether it was in college, coming through and using, early social media, early Facebook and MySpace even, to like crash our radio servers for my radio show and like get Sony Records upset at me for like playing music that I wasn't supposed to, that kind of thing. I've liked that. Anytime that I can, like writing's tough for me, but anytime I've had a few times where I felt like I really said what I wanted to say. Those are small instances. This year I was able to help Cheerios get onto Snapchat and have a national filter for National Cereal Day.
Cool.
It was super fun just to
Nice.
kind of like see those statistics from an enormous audience. So that was really, really fun. Yeah.
Okay. So I have to ask you the opposite question. What's your biggest failure?
Biggest failure. Let's see.
Can I tell you like one of my latest ones? It's not my biggest one, but it is definitely my latest one. So I'm dumb. I'm from the Ozarks, and I didn't pay attention very well in class, specifically geography class. I must have slept through the section where we talk about country flags, and I might have mixed up the flags of Honduras and Argentina, which, I mean, it's a big deal to fans of Honduras and Argentina, but I definitely had to apologize to a few people because they're both blue and white. Like, it's close.
It's like a Google image search mix-up, or just like a grab it really quick.
Just grabbed it really quick and,
This is it, right?
and posted
Yeah.
it, and
It's blue and white.
I didn't have anybody look at it, which is always my downfall, because the people who I work with are a lot smarter than me, and they didn't fall asleep in
They would've
geography
caught it.
class. I'd like to think that they would have caught it. So that's like 2 weeks ago. And it's been 2 weeks, and I'll probably have another failure coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I think there's always like stuff like that. I just hate when you post something and then all of a sudden it's getting retweeted and everything, and there's like a grammar or a spelling error in there. I'm not as involved as much anymore in the like day-to-day content publishing. I'm more in kind of like a strategy and training role. I would say, like, again, going back to like the not getting on Snapchat early enough, I think there's a lot of missed opportunity on there for brands of not being like, man, embrace new stuff even if it's gonna go away, and really being like early on platforms, I think often has an advantage that you don't understand. Like, you're the one kind of like setting the tone for the platform. You're the one like getting those like followers first, and like that momentum is huge. And I think, a lot of the clients we work with right now, we're still like trying to catch them up on like an Instagram strategy and a Snapchat strategy, and like, hey, this like Facebook Live thing is kind of working, and so.
What total random question. What was the last app that you downloaded on your phone? Oh, he's gonna
The
pull it up
last
and
app
look.
that I downloaded on my phone was an app yesterday that supposedly
It's not that one, is it?
It'll be that in a second, but yeah, was an app that makes Twitter lists for you automatically. I'm like looking for a good way to sort because there's so much noise on Twitter.
Yes.
And I have some of my own lists, but it's a little random. And I downloaded it and I deleted it. It didn't really work the way I wanted it to. But the last big app that I've downloaded and gotten kind of addicted to
Don't say it.
is Pokemon Go. I mean, like the statistics on this thing and the attention it's getting I've never seen anything like it.
Have you been to Mall of America in the last 5 days? Is it just
I
like
haven't, but I had some friends there, and I was just at Disney down in Orlando.
right?
And everywhere you go, everyone you run into is playing it. Everyone is sitting at restaurants trying to lure these Pokemon in and catch them. It's like so enormous. So we're sitting here thinking, okay, like, what do you do with that as a brand, as an organization, as a church? Can you use this attention, even if it goes away in a few weeks or months, for good? And we're, I think there's some interesting strategies there for sure. So it's also just addicting and fun.
It is fun, right? Like, there's no problem with that.
I think America kind of needs it right now. Something like so silly and ridiculous and easy, like unifying and not political.
Thank you.
And not, stressful. All the things happening around. So yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge to marketers in the next 12 months?
The biggest challenge, I think, is always kind of it's the same thing, just a different version. To me, it's figuring out these emerging platforms and how to spend time on it and say, when I get to it, we'll figure out live streaming, and when we get to it, we'll figure out Snapchat, and getting upset when something changes on the platforms that they're using. I think it's always that. It's always this balance of doing the stuff that that works on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and going in on that, but like having real dedicated time to emerging stuff and to ask those tough questions. Can we use Pokemon Go for something? What is this Musical.ly thing? What is Kick? What are these about, and can I be intentional about using my time to explore them?
Yeah.
I think live streaming is going to continue to develop in new ways that we haven't seen, and the storytelling is going to get more and more interesting. Facebook's algorithm clearly favorites that and pushes that up into that, so that enormous opportunity, and to embrace not being afraid of messing up and the spontaneousness of it, going in with kind of a plan, but also just rolling with it and understanding the energy that comes from live, the energy that comes from a little bit unplanned and unscripted.
Awesome. Hey, tell people where they can find you online.
You can find me on basically any platform. My handle is usually just my first and last name, Drew Gneiser, Gneiser.
Sweet. I'm Sam. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode of Unfiltered. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.